Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. Ricardo Calafiori to Arsenal is pretty much done. The player is expected to travel to Arsenal and do his medicals and sign his contract as well as early as this weekend or probably early next week. That's according to all sources in Italy. So that is pretty much done. Arsenal have now signed two players, Raya and of course Ricardo Calafiori, but it also means that Arsenal have done two deals in terms of outgoings. Mika Biereth has agreed to join Sturm Graz on a long-term deal. Arsenal will be paid $4 million by Sturm Graz in one of the most ridiculous deals we've done in terms of outgoings as well. We'll talk about the Arsenal mystery international German. Today, German take on Spain, and that means that that deal could progress very quickly if German are dropped out. Lokonga, we'll talk about Tavares, and we'll also talk about Emile Smith Rowe as well. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel as well. Good morning, and you can let me know where you're watching him from as well. So let's start off with the Ricardo Calafiori story. Most of the reports in Italy are saying that now an agreement between the two clubs is not very far away at 55 million euros. Both Bologna and Arsenal think the deal is done, and the player should travel to Arsenal to do his medicals and sign his contracts and probably his media duties by this weekend or early next week. Probably. So for me, I think this weekend we are not going to see Ricardo Calafiori unless Arsenal have really done some unimaginable moves. I don't think he signs this weekend. I think it will be early next week, maybe Wednesday, maybe Tuesday or Thursday. That's when we're going to see Ricardo Calafiori travel for medicals. That's when you're going to see him sign his deal and probably be announced as an Arsenal player. Pretty much done. And dusted. We are expecting here we go from Fabrizio very soon. We're expecting that bomber from David Ornstein very, very soon as well. Arsenal have done a good job on this one. And of course, the player preference was a very big factor. He chose Arsenal over Chelsea, over the other clubs. And that is where we are at the moment. If I get an update, a new one on this one, I'll be letting you know. But at the moment, pretty much done. He's expected to travel for his medicals. He's expected to travel for his a signing of the contract either this weekend or early next week. Now, Arsenal have completed 4 deals within 3 days, or within 4 days, by the way, in July. First, we announced the signing of David Raya. We triggered his release clause from Brentford on the 1st of July. That was confirmed. Second, Arsenal agreed a deal with Sevilla to sell Albert Sambi-Lokonga. It's going to be a permanent deal, but initially it's going to be a loan deal. Just like you saw the David Raya deal, that's the same thing we've done with Albert Sambi-Lokonga. And why I'm impressed with Arsenal's business in July right now is we're doing it in a balanced way. Usually, Arsenal find a big problem in terms of selling players. But right now, we are doing 2 incomings, 2 outgoings as well. I think that's the way it should be done. So Lokonga, why I'm impressed with this one is Arsenal have agreed with Sevilla that Sevilla will pay 15 million for the player if he fulfills or if some conditions are going to be fulfilled in his contract. So that means that if he plays a certain number of games, if Sevilla finish in a certain position, we are going to get 15 million from the sale of Albert Sambi-Lokonga from Sevilla. So that one is also pretty much done. No other club is going to come in to hijack that deal. Lokonga to Sevilla, pretty much here we go. Now, the other deal that Arsenal have done, apart from Calafiori, apart from Raya and Lokonga, is an agreement between Arsenal and Sturm Graz has been reached for Mika Biereth to join them on a permanent deal for 4 million. This is a deal I look at in 2 ways. Yes, we have made a sell, and that's another sell that has been added to this Arsenal account, and I don't have a problem with that. But the problem I have with that deal is 4 million. Now, Mika Biereth, of course, has been one of the real top talents in terms of strikers. And I said I don't see him become an Arsenal number 9. But I can see Arsenal make some good money out of him. I could see Arsenal make some, relevant, cash out of this guy. He went out on Sturm Graz last season, did a very good job on loan. And we thought, he's made a good impression. We either send him out on another loan deal to see how he progresses, or we sell him this summer. Arsenal decided to sell him That's not my problem. I know many people don't want to hear that Mika Biereth has been sold, but for me, it's not a problem. If the manager and Edu and the technical director think he doesn't have a position at Arsenal, you'd rather sell him. So Arsenal decided to sell Mika Biereth, but for 4 million. That is what I don't agree with. After Chelsea stealing Omar Hutchinson from Arsenal and selling him for 22 million, right? And then Chelsea giving us 4 million as part of our sell-on clause, Arsenal have gone and sold Mika Biereth for 4 million, and we have inserted a sell-on clause in his contract. I don't know how we do our deals, right? I don't know how we do our deals. But some of these deals are purely a sign of incompetence, and some of these deals are purely a sign of not being good enough in negotiations and not being good enough in terms of selling. Remember the Ban Leno deal. That is one of the most ridiculous deals Arsenal have ever made in their lives. We sold Ban Leno, potentially a world-class goalkeeper, at 3 million to Fulham. Fulham are a club that have enough money. They don't need your sympathies. They could have paid 7, they could have paid 10, they could have paid 15 if Arsenal were not that weak in negotiation. And I'll tell you, if Ban Leno was a Man City player, he's a 20 million goalkeeper. If Ban Leno was a Manchester United goalkeeper, they would sell him for 10 million. If Ban Leno was a Chelsea goalkeeper, they would sell him for 30 million. But because it's Arsenal, somehow clubs find a way of fucking us up. Clubs find a way of just embarrassing us in negotiations. So Mika Biereth has been sold for a fee that Arsenal got as a sell-on percentage on Omar Hutchinson. How do you explain that? How do you explain that one of your youngsters has had a very good loan spell at Stamgras, and Stamgras have decided to buy him for 4 million? 4 million! It's impeccable. Unless if you're telling me that the sell-on percentage that Arsenal are going to get if they sell him is 70% or 80%. And even if it's 80%, it should have been something like 10 million for Mika Biereth. Minimum 10 million. But 4 million, not even half of 10 million. It's not even half. It's not even a quarter of what Chelsea sold Omar Hutchinson for. So Arsenal we've got to style up. We've got to style up. We need to be better when it comes to selling. These are deals that other clubs are doing, and they're benefiting from them. Chelsea is benefiting from their academy. A couple of clubs are benefiting from their academy. Look at Brighton. Look at Ajax. Look at Benfica. Look at all these other teams. If Arsenal wanted Mika Biereth from Benfica, 100 million. If Arsenal wanted Mika Biereth from Ajax, 100 million. How come that we are the only ones on the market that just can't sell properly? How come we are the only ones on the market that just can't get deals done in a proper way? I mean, it's a fair question. Now, let's talk about Arsenal's mystery German player. Now, the mask could be unveiled in a very, very short period of time. So this is the equation. Spain play Germany today. Spain are favorites to win that game. If Spain beat Germany, Germany will be out of the Euros, and Arsenal will go on to press on and sign and finalize the deal for their secret German international. However, if Germany go through, it means that we are going to have to wait a little bit longer until Germany play either France or Portugal, and then we see what happens out of the semi-finals. But at the moment, Arsenal are optimistic that Germany could be out because Spain have been really playing some good football at the Euros. So if Spain are dropped out of the Euros, then we might actually see our mystery German player getting to be revealed. For me, I still think it's Simic. I think it's Simic. It's no longer a left back because Calafiori is now, Arsenal bound. So it is not Schlotterbeck. It is not Mittelstadt. It's not any of the left backs. It is not even a centre back. So it's either a midfielder or an attacker. And that really makes me feel, very, very excited. I don't think it's a goalkeeper. I know it could be a goalkeeper, but it's not a goalkeeper. I don't think Arsenal have a player in goal they're looking at in German that wouldn't sign before the end of the Euros. So it's either a midfielder, It's either a striker or a winger. We're gonna discuss that today at 11 p.m. Make sure you tune in live for that one because it's gonna be an interesting one. We've got to go back and rework the list now, right? As Arsenal sign a left back. Also, our goalkeeper, our incoming goalkeeper is decided. So it's either a midfielder or an attacker. For me, I'm betting on Kimmich. Now, let's talk about the new goalkeeper because, again, that's a story that has been developing over the last few hours. According to Gerard Romero, Ramsdale is expected to leave Arsenal. There are no changes about that. Now, I've got to agree. Arsenal are really struggling to sell Aaron Ramsdale this summer. We are really, really struggling to sell him. But we don't have offers. Newcastle were the club that were interested, but he's still expected to leave Arsenal this summer. Now, according to Gerard Romero, Johan Garcia is expected to be an Arsenal player very soon, especially as soon as Ramsdale finds another club. So Arsenal are not going to get in Gerard Romero, obviously because we still have Ramsdale there. But the moment Ramsdale makes way, the moment Ramsdale is out of the door, then we are 100% going to get in Johan Garcia. My thoughts on Ramsdale have not changed. Good goalkeeper. Arsenal must, prove their worth. And the Arsenal selling team must prove their worth to this team, right? Edu and Mikel Arteta and whoever is going to be dealing with sales this summer, don't dare sell Ramsdale for anything below 20 million. And even 20 million have gone so low. Because at first I was thinking it's got to be a deal we agree between 30 to 35. And maybe that didn't happen, and maybe, clubs have other plans. They think Ramsdale is too expensive. For me, the lowest amount of money Arsenal should get for Ramsdale now is 25 million. I don't see many goalkeepers that are as good as Ramsdale. Yes, there is Mamadashvili on the market. There is the couple of goalkeepers on the market, right? Ederson, who's going to Saudi Arabia. Maybe Alisson, going to Saudi Arabia as well. Could Ramsdale go to Saudi Arabia? I don't know, right? I think his preference would be Europe. I think his choice would be staying in Europe and in the Premier League. But I would love to see Arsenal make a good deal, on Ramsdale. I still expect him to leave. I expect this deal to go through. No questions about that. No doubts about that. Unless otherwise, I don't expect to see Raya and Ramsdale as the pair that push each other next season. Like I said yesterday, Raya signing for Arsenal, and that announcement meant one thing. Ramsdale to Arsenal is over. Ramsdale's career at Arsenal is over. I don't expect him to be one of the players that Arsenal are going to bank on come next season. So, Johan Garcia to Arsenal, that is expected as soon as Ramsdale leaves. One deal depends on the other. It's going to be kind of a domino effect. Now, the other domino effect that could happen is Emile Smith Rowe. And it's time for us to have a conversation, a proper conversation on Emile Smith Rowe. So, with Emile Smith Rowe, at the moment, Fulham are back, right? They made him a priority in June. Of course, we know what happened. They sold João Palhinha. Now they've got some cash. They feel like they're the big boys in town. They're back for Emile Smith Rowe, and they're saying this time they are very serious. Arsenal are open to selling him, obviously, for 35 million, which I think, again, is ridiculous. If you want to sell him, let's look at 45 million. I mean, I'm looking at all these midfielders that are being priced at 60 million, 65 million. And I'm like, Emile Smith Rowe could actually be better than many of those, honestly. But let's have a proper conversation on Emile Smith Rowe. Apart from him wanting to stay, apart from Arsenal wanting to keep him, is he a player that Arsenal should keep? Because when I think about Arsenal's new season, Mikel Arteta thinking about 114 points, the team looking to improve on what they finished at last season. I don't think we have time to actually go and wait for Emile Smith Rowe. It's the same thing with Fabio Vieira. These players must start quickly. They must start the season very strongly. Otherwise, there is no reason to keep them. There's no reason. I don't think Arsenal is going to wait for this players. I don't think we have the luxury of time. I don't think we have the luxury to wait for all these players to catch up. You know, the likes of Nuno Tavares, those ones, just sell them. He's in talks with Lazio. He's in talks with Ajax. Sell them. We don't have the time. And that is why I'm afraid for Emile Smith Rowe. I think he's a talent. I think he's quality. But do Arsenal really have the time to wait for him? Do Arsenal really have the patience to wait for him? That's where I'm not very convinced. That is where I'm not very convinced. Anyway, Fulham are back. I think now that they have the job Paulinho cash, they're going to bid maybe 30, maybe 35 million. And if Arsenal are serious, he's going to cost 35 million. He will leave. He will leave. The only way I see Emile Smith Rowe stay at Arsenal is if clubs say he's too expensive. So if clubs say he's too expensive, we cannot afford him. Yeah, I could believe that. But if it's about 30 million, 35 million, bro, he's gone. He's 100% gone. Another player, of course, that I wanted to talk about is Nuno Tavares. Nuno Tavares is in talks with Lazio and Ajax to see that he can actually go there. I've always thought there's talent there. I've always thought that Premier League was too harsh for him. Too big for him. If he goes to Ajax, he will do well. If he goes to Lazio, he will absolutely do very well. Catch me live at 11 a.m. I think it's 2 hours time as we crush those big transfer news.